Forget becoming a millionaire for a second. Most financial gurus talk about that. But what if I told you the most important number in your financial life is way, way smaller? We're not even talking six figures. We're talking about a milestone that completely transforms your relationship with money, $20,000. Let's dive into why this specific amount is the real game changer. So why does saving that first 20 grand feel, well, impossible? If you're just starting out, you know this feeling. You're putting in the work, but it feels like you're getting nowhere, right? It's that stage where progress feels painfully slow, and you start to question if building any real wealth is even possible. And this is the perfect way to think about it. Your financial journey is just like pushing a massive boulder up a steep hill. That initial phase is all strain and effort. You're just straining, you're sweating. And for what? It feels like you're barely making any progress at all. You're fighting against financial gravity every single step of the way. So here's the key takeaway. That $20,000 mark is the crest of the hill. It's the tipping point. The moment the struggle ends, and for the very first time, you feel that momentum start to work for you, not against you. It's an incredible feeling. Okay, so this isn't just about the numbers on a spreadsheet. The first, and honestly the most powerful change, is what happens up here in your head. You literally go from a mindset of survival to one of strategy. Think about it. When you have no safety net, your brain is kind of locked in survival mode, right? Every decision is filtered through fear and scarcity. But once you have that $20,000 buffer, poof, it's like you can finally breathe. You gain the mental space to think bigger. The question in your head totally shifts from, oh man, how do I survive this month, to, okay, how can I grow this? And hey, this isn't just some vague feeling, it's backed by actual data. Research from Vanguard shows that just having a small cushion, like 2 grand, can boost your financial well-being by a whopping 21%. Now, get that up to the $20,000 range, a real emergency fund, and that feeling of well-being just keeps on climbing. This is the buffer that gives you the breathing room to stop worrying and actually start building. All right, so we've talked psychology, now let's get into the math, because this is where things start to get really exciting. This is where your effort starts to multiply, all thanks to that little bit of magic we call compounding.
The secret isn't some crazy complex investment strategy. It really just comes down to scale. A 10% return on $2,000 is $200. I mean, that's nice, but it's not going to change your life. But that same 10% on $20,000, now you're talking. That's $2,000. That's real money that starts showing up without you having to clock in for another shift. And this timeline, it just perfectly shows that acceleration. Look at this. That first 20 grand is a total grind, 19 months. But then look what happens next. The second 20,000 takes only 17 months. Why? Because your money is now working alongside you. And then you fast forward, and that same $20,000 gain, it happens in just 5 months. The boulder is rolling downhill, and man, it is picking up some serious speed.
Okay, but here's the part that I think most people totally miss, and it might be the most important piece of this whole puzzle. Getting to that first $20,000 gives you something so much more valuable than just the cash. You are fundamentally rewiring your brain. You're building the habits of a person who knows how to handle money. Just think about the discipline you're forced to build to get here. You didn't just stumble into this. You tracked your spending, you told yourself no to things you really wanted, you fought off those impulse buys again and again. You're not just saving money, you are proving to yourself day after day that you control your finances. They don't control you. That skill, that's priceless. And once you have that skill, this new identity, it is so liberating. You stop stressing over whether you can afford a $3 coffee because you know the big picture is handled. All that mental energy is freed up to focus on the things that actually move the needle. Negotiating a higher salary, finding a better place to live, and building a real investment strategy. And your whole perspective on life's little emergencies just completely changes. Before, a surprise car repair is a total disaster, right? A financial crisis. With that savings cushion, it's just an annoyance, a hassle. And even better, things that weren't even on your radar before, like maybe investing in a friend's startup or going to a conference that could level up your career, suddenly become real options you can actually think about. And this leads us right into the tangible, real-world power you get from this foundation. Because having options, well, that's the ultimate freedom. And nowhere is that more true than in your career. This cushion has a name. A lot of people call it walking away money. And it's exactly what it sounds like. It means you're no longer a prisoner to a paycheck. You could quit a toxic job tomorrow and be totally fine for months while you find something that actually respects you. You go from negotiating out of desperation to negotiating from a position of pure strength. Honestly, this is like unlocking a career superpower. Just knowing you have that safety net changes how you carry yourself at work. You become more confident, more assertive. You can finally ask for the raise you know you deserve because what's the worst that can happen? They say no. You'll be fine. And the funny thing is, that newfound confidence is often the very thing that gets you noticed, that gets you the promotion. It creates this amazing positive feedback loop. Okay, now for a really, really important warning. Please do not derail your progress here. So many people hit this milestone and they see it as a reward. They think, I've earned it, time to buy a new car or take a huge vacation. And that is a massive mistake. This isn't the finish line, people. This is the foundation. This is where you start building the skyscraper. Once you have this foundation, the way you think about big purchases completely transforms. Instead of just asking, can I afford the monthly payment, which is what most of us do, you start asking a much smarter, much more powerful question. What is the opportunity cost? What else could this money be doing for me if I don't spend it on this? Let's make that real for a second. That shiny $30,000 car, it's not just costing you $30,000, it's costing you the $200,000 or even more that it could have turned into after 20 years in your investment account. When you start seeing things that way, driving a reliable used car doesn't feel like a sacrifice at all. It feels like a brilliant strategic move that's buying your future freedom. And let's be super clear about something. This is not about becoming a cheapskate who never has any fun. It's the exact opposite. It's about being intentional. It's about deciding where your money goes so you can stop letting it just disappear on stuff that doesn't really matter and instead aim it like a fire hose at the life you actually want to build. Look, at the end of the day, crossing this $20,000 line is the difference between just financially surviving and actually thriving. It's about going from being reactive to life's punches to proactively designing the life you want. Your future self is counting on you to do the hard work now, to push that boulder over the crest of the hill. So the only real question left is, what decision are you going to make today?